Hello, let's be creative. We're going to use Blender today to make a low poly character. We're going to take a really easy route at animating the character. We're going to use Mixamo, an online tool for auto rigging and animating. And we'll pull those animations back down into Blender. We'll combine them for export into the CS1 game engine. We'll do a little bit of texture painting, primarily using stencils, but we'll look at just the basic idea of texture painting, and then we'll examine our results. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. So in Blender, I'm going to first of all go into Blender and make sure that I have my screencast keys turned on. Let's see if we're seeing them. There we go. Yeah. All right, so you can see the keys that I am pressing and my mouse clicks and so forth over here on the screen. Something that you'll want to do now is press Command and comma, or open the preferences and look for Rigify. I have already enabled it. Rigify is a built-in add-on to Blender. I am using 2.8 currently. And you can download Blender 2.8. It is free, and you can enable Rigify by going into the preferences and searching up RIG and then enabling it by clicking the little button right here. Okay, that's pretty much it for that. Let's go to the Y, click on Y over here, and we'll click it again. Or just until it shows front orthographic view up here. So front orthographic view is the view that we want to start with. I'm going to go ahead and scroll in with my wheel, my mouse wheel, and we're going to begin by adding a rig. Shift A, go to Armature, Basic Human Meta Rig. And the rig is behind the cube. We'll take care of that by going over here on the right, clicking on the little stick figure, Armature, Rig, tab, if you will, going down to a viewport display and checking the in front checkbox so it renders in front of the other items that are in the 3D viewport. We'll now go ahead and center our rig, and we will hide the cube. We'll go up here to the scene collection and click on the eyeball and make the eye shut so we can't see the cube. We'll come back to that later. We're going to pull down the legs a little bit to make more of a chibi style character. I'm going to click, or actually tab into edit mode, click the top of that leg, shift, click the top of that leg and go G, Z to grab in the Z direction. I'm going to pull that down about there. I'm going to click the top of the bottom parts of the leg and go G, Z and pull those down to about there. Gonna grab the girdle, those three bones right there, if you want to say the hip girdle or the hip bones, and go ahead and press G and Z and put them down between the top of the legs like that. We're going to grab the arms over here and we're going to take them out, point to the left, so that's going to be GX negative 0.2 because that's the negative direction. Going to do the same on this side. We're going to go GX positive 0.2 this time. G stands for grab, X is the X direction, and the 0.2 is the distance we're taking it. We're also going to go down and grab these, grab the legs here. I'm going to deselect this part of the hip. I don't want that. I'm going to go GX negative 0.1. Going to spread those legs out a little bit on the armature. And this section right here, we're going to go GX 0.1 for pause. Whoops, didn't realize I had that part grabbed. I must unselect that center part. Must deselect, excuse me. Deselect that center part. Go in closer, deselect. Ah! Let me do this again. Click off, go over here, and ooh, now I'll click and deselect that. There we go. Wow. And, and go GX 0.1. There we go. Now we have the legs of our model kind of in a wider stance. We've made the legs shorter, more squat, and we've kind of extended the arms out a little bit because we're going to have more of a cartoonish type of character. All right, so I'm going to take the top, grab the tail, if you will, of the head bone, and go G, Z, and pull it up. We're going to make a really big head on this thing. So that's pretty good. I think that's okay dimensions for building our low poly model. And let me just say right now that our low poly model is going to be done by a true amateur, and that's me. So please give me advice on improving my own presentations, especially if you've been doing this for a while. I'd really appreciate hearing what you have to say. All right, so what we're going to do next is just advise you that we're not going to actually use this rig for animating in the future. Once I get better, once I get used to using these rigs and so forth, I will. We're going to actually just use this as a guide for proportioning our character that we're going to make. So we're going to turn on the cube, and we're going to grab the cube and put the center right where the hips are. So I'm going to tab into object mode and click the cube object and go G, Z, and grab it so the center is right in the middle of the hips. You look right there, that is the little yellow dot. That's like the center of the cube, and it's right at the hip level. I'm going to go now S and scale it in until the cube is just a little bit bigger than the legs, so it extends a little bit beyond the leg bones, if you will. So right there, I am happy with that. We're going to now set the cube up for symmetric modeling, or mirroring, if you will. So I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to hover over this top edge right here and do Control R, add a ring loop. I'm going to click twice, hit enter. So this loop cut, if you will, is going to enable me to get rid of the right side of the cube as I see it. So I'm going to go ahead and go into X-ray mode right over here. I'm going to put it in face select here, and I'm going to select these faces over here on the cube and get rid of them by pressing the X key and get rid of delete faces, basically. Oh, I missed the back one, didn't I? So I might as well grab. Wow, I didn't realize I missed that back face. Now I got it. X, delete faces. So we only have half of a cube there, but we're going to put mirroring on here in a second. So let's go ahead and tab back into object mode. Go over here to modifiers, add a modifier. I guess it could have stayed in edit. Modifier, add the mirroring modifier right here. And now we are ready to do symmetric modeling. And before we get any further into this, let's go actually tab into edit mode. We're going to add another ring cut for the groin down here. So we're going to hover over this edge right here, do Control R, click, and then I'm going to move that ring cut, move that loop, if you will, edge loop, whatever you want to call that, and click it and put it right about there. That's fine for now. So that's going to help have us separate the leg and the groin. Let me turn off for right now, let me just turn off that X-ray and put it in face select mode, and I'm going to select this face right here for the leg, and I'm going to kind of angle it out the slightest bit, rotating it on the Y-axis. So let me just kind of go over here so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to go, there's the face selected, I'm going to go R, Y. I'm going to tilt it out just a little bit, and just to add a little bit more organic, somewhat more natural look, because it's going to look so unnatural as it is because it is low poly. It's going to look so boxy. So I'm just going to rotate that out a little bit. I'm going to go E, extrude along that direction. I'm going to stop it right there. That's kind of maybe a little bit more than I wanted to go out, a little more bow-legged. I'm actually going to back off on that, but I'm not going to rotate it quite as much. I'm going to go RY again. Let me take back a little bit of that rotation. I just want a little bit of, just the slightest bit of rotation. And then I'm going to go E, extrude along that direction. I'm going to stop before like the knee area. I'm going to go GX, grab it and pull it out here a little bit. I'm going to go E, extrude down to maybe there. Now I'm going to go RY. I'm going to rotate it back a little bit. I'm going to actually, at this point, maybe even pull this out a little bit by grabbing that edge. So I'm going to put it in edge select. I'm going to grab this edge right here and go GX just to pull that out a little bit. And then I'm going to make the knee area, put it in face select mode again, and go ahead, extrude it down. Let me look at front orthographic, and let me actually go up here and put it in front orthographic, and let me flatten that out a little bit. I'm going to go R, Y, there we go, and let's go down a little bit further. Let me go G, Z. I'm going to go down a little bit further right there. And be kind of like the knee area. And then we'll go E, Z, extrude down to maybe where the top of where the foot's going to be. And then go S, and kind of bring it in. And we will then maybe, I'll grab it. I'll go G, X, bring it out, center it a little bit better on that bone. And then I'm just going to go E, Z, bring it down to the ground. Maybe I'm going to look along the orthographic so I can see more accurately getting to the ground. Let me just go G, Z to pull it down to more accurately to the ground. That's fine. Pull it to the side. I'm going to select this face right here. Pull that. It's already out almost to the end already. We'll be changing these dimensions here a little bit, but I'm going to just go ahead and go E on the Y direction and pull that out a bit. It's already out a little further than like the toes go. I go E, Y. Well, let me undo that. Let me just go G, Y. I don't need any more geometry there. Whoops. Whoops. And Z. There we go. Now let's go G, Y, and just pull that out a little bit more. That's pretty good. What we'll do here is we're going to scale back the legs here. We're going to kind of start to, because it's really blocky, which is fine. We're going to just do some adjustments to that. Maybe I'll wait till I can see what the upper body looks like here first. So in that regard, let's go over here with the faces and select these two faces here. And again, maybe look at it front orthographic. Maybe actually, doesn't matter. I can leave it perspective view. I'm going to go E, Z, extrude up to right about here. I'm going to actually turn on clipping. I'm sorry, I should have done that. When I did the mirror modifier, I should have turned clipping on, especially for what I'm about to do. I can actually do this. I can actually, if I want to, I can go like SX and it won't clip because I have clipping on. I should probably just pull out the side, but having clipping on stops the geometry from overlapping the mirror, like the YZ plane, if you will. So I'm going to go E, Z. I'm going to bring it up to about there and go SX. Bring that out to about, whoops, right about there. Let's look at it more front orthographic. That's good enough for now. We're not going to try to impress too many people with this. We are going to take this, some of this geometry that's up top and maybe we can probably just use this and get away with the neck for now. Yeah, we're just going to live with this. I'm just going to take this for right now and just extrude up. I'm going to be very minimalistic with this. And let me go SY, kind of scale that in. I know it's really looking really boxy, but we can eliminate some of that in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and go EZ. We'll go up maybe right about here, and we'll just go scale the whole thing out, maybe like that. Then we'll go EZ, extrude up again, maybe part way up right there, and we'll go again. We'll scale out further. Whoops. Let me Well, let me actually undo that one. I didn't realize how wacky that looked. Okay, I should have just scaled it normally. Let me back up the whole way down to here. And right here, let me just do a regular scale out in all the directions. Because that was already a skinny rectangle, I should have probably done the scaling. So let me undo that. Let me just go S, pull it out like that, and then I'll just scale it in the X direction. Whoops, maybe like that. That's better. And then I'll just go EZ, we'll go up about a little bit like that, and maybe we'll just go SX, scale it out a little bit. Whoa, that's way too much, way too much, way too much. Maybe like that. Again, this is just like I said, it's a chibi character, really big head type of thing, so just having fun with it. Maybe right up to about here, then we'll go down, then we'll go EZ, and we'll just kind of just bring it in, maybe right here, and we'll just go SX and bring it in, something like that. We're not going crazy with anything. Maybe head extends out a little far in the back, perhaps. Maybe we want to go ahead and select some faces in the back and go ahead and grab them, move them forward. And if we just go GY, doesn't have to stick out so far in the back, maybe more in the front. What else? I don't want to spend too much time on this. You could go crazy on the geometry. The more you add, of course, the more realistic it's going to look. But we're just going over some basic ideas here. I'm going to go ahead and take this face, extrude out along its normal. So we're just going to go E, pretty much go out like that, right about to the elbow. Going to rotate maybe down on the y-axis a little bit, RY, rotate a little bit there, and maybe G, Z to lift it up a tiny bit, and then go E, extrude it out along that direction. Actually, let me go back. Actually, right there, I'm going to start to make it smaller. So let me go ahead and scale that in a little bit first. And then I will extrude out. And then I will scale in a little bit more. And then, so that will be better for like a elbow. Maybe a little bit of a rotation there on that plane, that face. Let's go RY, rotate it a tiny bit. And then right there, and then go E along that normal, right about to where the hand would be, and scale that in. And we'll make maybe the top of the hand. We'll just extrude that out a tiny bit for like a top of a hand. And then E again for the last bit of the hand, and scale that really in there for the end of the hand. Not even gonna put fingers on this thing. Just getting some really basic ideas going. But if you look at the way we have this lined up over here, I'm going to turn on X-ray. I need to pull some of this geometry back towards the bones, because the bones are back farther. If you're looking at this, like I'm looking at it, so I'm just going to grab this section here. I got that section. I'm going to kind of pull it back a little bit. That's going to grab it in the Y direction and pull that back, so I'm a little bit better. So the bones are, excuse me. There we go. So the bones are better centered in the geometry right there. Again, this is not the rig that we're going to end up animating with. In the future, though, I will be using these rigs to animate. I'm just using it now as a guide for designing the model. We're not going to do anything really fancy whatsoever. Here, I am going to pull back a little bit on some vertices over here, just around the head, to ever so slightly make it. So let me actually, I guess I can use edge select. Let me go to edge select mode here. I'm going to start to pull this back a little bit. So if I just do G, Y, start to pull that back a little bit. Maybe I'm going to add maybe just a little bit of detail, geometry. I'm going to click up here. I'm going to hover over here and go Control R for some ring cuts. I'm going to add a few When I add 4 ring cuts in there, I'm going to click twice. So I can just add a little bit more geometry in here for the purpose of maybe making a nose-esque thing. So right over here, I'm going to grab this, put it in vertex select. I'm going to select on this vertex. I'm going to grab it in the X direction, GX. I'm going to pull that in a little bit. I'm just going to pull this out. Maybe I'll add something else under here as well. A little. Let me add a couple ring cuts over here. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to add a couple ring cuts, edge loops or whatever. Control R, and we'll just add 2 right there. 2 loops. Click right there is good enough. That's good. And then I'm just going to take that right here. I'll end up moving that up. I'm going to go to vertex select. I'm going to move that in the Y. I'm going to pull that out. So I'm going to go G, Y. So get a, whoops. Okay, so a little bit out. Then I'm going to just take that one that's underneath there. I'm going to go G, Z. Kind of pull that up a little bit. I'm going to pull that one up a little bit with GZ. Yeah, something like that. Just give it a little bit of a hint of like a nose being there. Maybe I'll pull up on this region a little bit. Do a little inset to hint at what an eye socket might be like. Let me, I could put it in face select mode over here. If I press I can inset right there, the I key for inset, and then I'm just going to grab that and push that in a little bit. So I'm going to go GY, just push that in a little bit. Just a hint of, eyes. And we'll try to get some eyes to line up with that. That might be a little bit hard. So now I'm going to make it a little bit harder for myself when it comes to doing the texture painting. But anyway, I'll go for it. What the heck. I'm going to turn off of the X-ray right now. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. That's actually, I'm not going to call it a time yet. Let's just clean the groin up a tiny bit more. About done with this little thing. I'm just going to get the center edge. Actually, let me get in here a little bit. Just get the edge select. Sorry, I didn't get the right select. Edge select. I'm going to go, actually, let me just, I'm happy with doing vertex select. I'm just going to pull down the front because the back is different than the front, right? Because we don't have front to back symmetry on our bodies, thank goodness. I'm going to go G, Z, pull that down. Actually, I have so much detail right now that I need to do that a little differently. I should have done this earlier before I did all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do face select and put apply a rotation to it. So that will work. If I hold control, I can select all the faces between there and there. And then I'm just going to put a little rotation on the Y. Yeah, that will work. I know it's uniform, but in the back, now I'm going to change it in the back because people are not front to back symmetrical, thank goodness. And we'll just go ahead in the back over here, though. I'm going to grab these verts, put it on vertex select mode. Just going to grab the vertices in the back over there, like these ones right over here, these 4. That's all I really want. I'm just going to lift those up. I'm just going to go G, Z, and lift that up, make that even. Actually, maybe just select these right there now. Just go G, Z. I'm sure I could have done this better. And then, yeah, I could have done this definitely better. I'm going to go G, Z, just put those up. And then go over to the second one. There's definitely a better way of doing this. And then this last one right here, just GZ. All right, a little bit right there. I'm going to start pulling some of these closer together. So let me actually start scaling these in a little bit. Let me just go S, X, and kind of pinching those in somewhat along there. Let me just maybe grab this one right there and just go G, X, pull that in a little bit. Matter of fact, I can pull all these in now. I'll just go GX. Yeah, a little bit, so the back, right? The back of somebody is not the same as the front, obviously. So, ooh, got a lot of keys going on there at once. So that's all right. Maybe I'm saying I want to change the legs. You're gonna always don't want to change something and make it much better. But I mean, I'm not here to spend a whole bunch of time doing this. I am gonna maybe change the feet a little bit. I get a little bit irritated if I don't get the feet a little more what I want. So I'm just gonna grab these edges. I'm gonna go GX, just pull the edges out, just flare those out a little bit. I have to do this with boxy characters. I'm gonna select that edge and select the edge just right in front of that one. I'm gonna go GX, pull that out a little bit. I can give it more pronounced feet, I guess. Might as well. I'm not going to use those bones anyway. Those aren't the bones I'm going to use. I'm just going to go E. Well, actually, hold on, wait. Let me go Command Z. I'm just going to go G, X. Oh, no. I want to go in the Y direction. I'm sorry, G, Y. Pull those out a little bit. I'm going to pull down the front of the top of the toe. Let me put it in Edge Select. Just the front top. And just going to go G, Z, and pull that down. So I have more of a toe profile. All right. Am I done here? No, I guess I can pull the chest down a little. A couple more things, maybe just to. I'll pull this maybe out. Notice if I want to select all the edges, like including this one over to here, I can press Control and collect all of those. And what I'll do here is maybe pull. Where's that at in the chest? So maybe, actually, I'll do that with this one. I'll just pull this out for now. Maybe I'll pull this out. So I'll do the same type of thing. I'll select those edges, and I'm going to press Control to select all the edges along that kind of loop. Let me just go GY, pull that out a little bit. I know it's going to do it with the arm too, but oh well. Oh well, that's all right. For right now, I'm just going to pull that out so the chest kind of comes out a little bit more. Now I'm going to say, oh my, I want maybe the rear end to come out a little bit. So maybe I'll click over here and just go G, Y, pull that out a little bit. Of course, that kind of dents the whole back the way I did that there. Should have probably thought a little bit more about that before bending the whole back out of whack. But I'll deal with that right now. There's so many mistakes, I'm sure, topologically I made with the way that I set the geometry up here that I'm not going to even begin to be able to get it all the way I want. But anyway, that's the beginning of a very, very, very low poly character. So we're going to go take this. I'm going to save this as LP, maybe for low poly. Maybe I'll just go save as, let me just call the whole thing, capital L, capital P. Have so many other ones for low poly. And then I'm just going to tab into object mode. I'm just going to export the mesh right now as a wavefront object, only the thing that's selected. So I'm going to go selected only. And I'm going to export the OBJ to my desktop. At least I think is that what I did? Let me double check. To my desktop, yes. Just double check. All right. So let's go into, this is a previous character I had made at Mixamo, mixamo.com, mixamo.com. You can just log in with Google. I'm going to upload that character right there. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, the OBJ file on my desktop. And then we'll use their auto rigging feature. So we'll let that load in. We'll let Mixamo do its thing. There it loaded the model in. Let's go next. We're going to place the chin about where the chin should be. Going to place the wrists likewise where the wrists should be. And there's a little zoom area if you didn't notice it up in the top right. If you notice it up there in the top right, there's a little zoom area. Help you keep track of where the different regions are. So there's my foot, there's that, there's my knee, should be right about there. So this is going to basically proportion and place the, and this is the groin, this is going to be placing or scaling and placing the skeleton, the armature that they have on their website. And we're going to use the lowest one, the one with no fingers, only 25 bones. And we're going to let its auto rigger do its thing. So we're not using the bones that we had in Blender. One of these days, when I get around to advancing my skills a little bit more. But for right now, we're just going to deal with this the way it is. Just be happy with it. Really super boxy. Even a lot more boxy than the last one I put up there. But I am perfectly all right with that now. I always dive down that rabbit hole another day. So it's auto rigging right now. It's taking all those little insights and applying, there it is, applying that rig to it. So that's fine. Nothing fancy about it, but that's, hey man, I made that. And you'll be able to say, hey, I made that, you made your own. So it's always cooler when you make it yourself, right? So that's what, it's awesome. So we're going to go ahead and load that character in here. We're going to grab a couple animations for it. I know the topology is kind of causing some little rendering issues, maybe over here and probably in the back too. But won't be able to see that once we get the texture applied anyway. It's kind of interesting to see that. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to go grab a talking. If we type talk over here, we're going to get a talking animation and we're going to use that talking animation here, basically spread out the arm space a little bit, make the arms wider apart. So our character is rather wide. That's fine. That's going to be our idle. Actually going to download that with the skin. Go ahead and click download with the skin. I'm going to call it LP idle, even though it's a talking animation. I'm going to rename it right now so I don't forget. So I'm going to call it LP idle. And I'll just go right over here. LP again for low poly. LP underscore IDLE. So I know I'm going to use that for the idle. Then I'm going to go search for a running one. With my game engine, I only have, so I'm going to choose this running right here. I'm going to select in place. And we're going to export that running animation, which we're going to incidentally call walk, even though it's a run. Long story. It's currently the way my game engine is set up. I like the running animation better than the walk for the way how fast things move. But anyway, I'm going to download it without a skin. So just the animated armature, download that. I'm going to call that LP walk, even though it's a running animation. I'm going to call it LP walk. So I'm going to go ahead to that, because if I don't name it according to the model, I'm not going to know what to look for. LP underscore walk. All right, and that's good. Now that's all I needed Mixamo for, technically. So I guess I could actually close that. I don't need that open now. Then we'll end up using this viewer here at the end. So we're going to go ahead and actually make a new file. I don't have to save that either. Let me get rid of this cube because we're not going to do any more modeling right here. Let me make sure I got screencast keys are still on. Yes. All right. But they're not showing up, are they? Look. If I do, see, that's what's weird about these screencast keys, it seems. They turn off for some reason. So let me go into the settings and go to screencast keys. Let me deactivate. I don't know what's up with this plugin. Deactivate them. Let me then reactivate them. Let me go over here and uncheck them and then recheck them, and then now they're working again. Amazing. I don't know what you're probably using them wrong or something. There we go. Okay, but anyway, So let's go ahead and import our model here. It's going to be really small. We're going to scale it by about 12 times, I think. I guess. We're going to import it as an FBX file, which it is. Going to go to the downloads, and it is LP idle, the one we want. And go ahead and bring that in, and let's scale it. Going to go S12 because it's super small as it is. We'll check the size, and actually let's see what the size is. Let's look at it from the front. Let's grab the measurement tool over here on the left and see how big it is. That is still way too small. That's only 0.3 meters. We want a little bit under 2 meters tall. So yeah, about 6. Maybe we'll say 6.2 more to scale it. So let me scale it by 6.2. Let's go S 6.2. There we go. Now we have a better scale for our game. We want to make sure things are the right size, obviously, when you put them in the game. You don't want to have to scale them afterwards because it's less efficient. The game doesn't work as well and so forth. So we have an interesting character here. If I press the space bar, it would already start to do that animation. So let's just add the other animation. I could go over here and call this armature character if I want to, because this is the one that actually has the mesh on it, just to distinguish it from the other one, which we're going to import here in a second, which is the walking one. Technically FBX, import FBX. Go to the downloads. It's going to be LP walk, which was actually a run. But again, doesn't really matter. The cool thing about this is I don't have to do, on the new Blender, on the 2.8, it used to be different with 2.79. I literally don't have to do anything else. I can just export it now. It will have both animations available. I just have to rename the animations to make them accessible to the game engine in the right way. So I have a couple ways of doing this. Yeah, so I can go down here. I can actually name it up here. I can name it down here. If I go over here into the dope sheet and go to the action editor, I could rename, so the one I just brought in is actually the walk. So I'm going to rename this armature walk with a, yeah, so I'm going to call that walk. That means I want to call this animation down here, walk with a lowercase w. If I click on the character over here, I'm going to name this animation data idle with lowercase I. And why am I naming it those things? Because the game engine is going to look inside the file for those names. So I can export now that I've named those. If I export as a GLTF file, I'm going to actually call this LP and export that to the desktop. Actually, desktop, I'm sorry, desk. There we go, desktop. It's called LP, capital L, capital P. We'll export that, and then we'll go into the viewer, and we'll see what it looks like in this GLTF viewer. This is a GLTF binary or GLB file. Bring it in here. There it is, really bright material because of there's no material really. It was just an OBJ, so it's completely blazing, shining white. We're gonna be painting it anyway pretty soon. So there's the first animation, or the idle. If we go to the animations, we can see idle, and then here's walk. So everything is good to go, other than, of course, the model looks it is what it is. I made it. I feel happy about that. Except it has no texture. We're going to add a texture here to it. Again, you can go make a really very realistic model. I'll leave that to you for your homework. Okay, so we're going to go improve this model by doing some texture painting. All right, so how do we texture paint? So we're going to texture paint by, we're going to set up our texture painting first of all by, so first I'm going to click on the character, the thing that we're going to end up painting, the mesh right there. We'll click on the, we'll add some textures over here that we're going to use for stencils. So I'm going to click down here on this little texture texture tab in the properties tabs area. And I'm going to add a couple picture images. Add a couple. I'm going to go open an image right here. I'm going to go, I already have downloaded a couple, I guess. I've downloaded several. In fact, I think I put them on my desktop. Yeah, I have a hair one, denim, eyes. I did eyes. So I'm going to do all these. Maybe we'll just do worry about placing the eyes first. I think they put that in my downloads in the eyes area. So I'll probably work with that first. So I have this eyes texture, and then we can add more. We can add them pretty much as we need them, but that was down here in the texture. I can add more and more. But if I go over here now to these tools, and I go into the mode over here of texture painting, we can see it. I don't have any texture that's a material. There's no material for this, so it doesn't know what to do, so it shows up in pink. So if you ever see that pinkish purple color, you need to add a material. So over here we'll need to add a material. So let's go over here and add a material. I'm going to call it low poly LP underscore matte for LP low poly material. And what next? Still not changing the, still not helping anything yet. I'm going to go under the base color, just leave it as white for right now. So if I go to here, I got a texture set up, I got a material made, but let me go back into object mode. Let me click on rendering. So it's going to render the texture to see if we actually have that texture there. So we can't do this painting until we unwrap the model. So even though we have a material, we don't have a place for that model to receive kind of data about painting. So when you're painting this 3D thing that we're going to be doing, primarily using stencils, as we paint it, that information is going to get stored somewhere, and specifically it's going to get stored on an image file, a 2D image file that's going to be mapped onto the 3D character. And that mapping happens with this UV map. So I'm going to have to create that UV map now. Now that I have this selected, I'm going to tab into edit mode, and I'm going to what I should do actually is to go Control A. Whoops, let me tab back into object mode. Go Control A, and let's apply the scale, because I rescaled things. I just want to apply the scale transform so everything is, I think I did everything uniformly anyway, it didn't matter, but I should just apply that scale. I'm going to tab into edit mode now. I'm going to type in U, letter U, and I'm going to go to Smart UV Project. And I'm going to select an island margin here of 0.06 and go OK. Now I have a UV projection that we can use for our texture painting. Now if I go over here to texture paint tab at the top, you can see my UV projection area. You can see I still don't have any, my poor little guy is still pink over here, or purple, whatever. So it still doesn't have any actual texture to point to. So if the moment that I select, I don't want to select that. That's going to be my stencil. So I'm going to actually create a new one. Whoops. I want to create. Oh, I should have clicked new before, but I didn't. And I can't open here, but I can go over here and make a new texture. Actually, I can go over here on the right where it says no textures. I can click right there, and I can click plus and make a new texture for base color. That will work. We can make it more detailed. If we can make this more detailed, of course, it'll take more memory. I'm just going to leave 1024 is fine for me. I'll leave it with the white background color for now. And that's fine. LP matte base color, I'm going to go OK. And I'm going to go over here and select it. Now it's going to be available. Boom. Now I don't have that pink problem anymore. Yeah, if I was going to redo this, I definitely would not have done all those rings, all those edge loops or whatever. Because look at that geometry right there. That's obviously wasteful. I don't need all of that detailed geometry in there. So definitely not really well designed. But let's go ahead. We're going to kind of get the eyes on here to start off with. How do we do this stencil painting? So let's find out how we do that. So over here we have brush settings. You have all these things that we can adjust. We got this material down here. If you go down to texture, we have this texture that's right here. It's in tiled mode, where you can like just paint it on everywhere. But we're gonna move it around and just use parts of it. So we're gonna go down to stencil, not tiled, because we're not just gonna randomly tile it. And the way that it's kind of sized right now, the texture, if you look at the size, I'm going to press middle mouse button, drag. The way that the texture is sized is pretty decent already for the model. The way that it kind of maps onto the current size of the model, the way because you can see it like overlaid onto it. So I'm going to be okay with that. I'm just going to leave it that way. I'm just going to make my brush smaller. So I'm going to press F and I'm going to drag my brush and make it much smaller. So it's going to go around this eye. I'm going to put this eye right over where this socket is. Then I'm going to go over and put the other eye over there. I'm not going to do them both at the same time. So let me try to do this now. Let's see. The brush is currently by default at 100%. So if I drag this over, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's at 100 strength of 1. Let me move this back over here, put this eye over the socket. So I'm putting this eye right here over the socket that I'm going to paint it on, stencil it on if you will. So I'm going to start to stencil that. It's going to go ahead and go over that eye. You can see what I'm doing right there. And I'm just going to get that eye stenciled on to the mesh. Did I get it all there? If I go over to the side, pretty much got the eye on there. I don't know if I even needed those insets. I probably could have made more rounded insets or something. I don't know how much that helped me. Might have even made it worse, but it gave me a place where I can say I'm going to put the eye. Now I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to move the stencil over. So I'm over on the other side of this to the other inset, basically. Other eyeball inset right about there. Then I'm going to go ahead and use the stencil, use the brush that I made a decent size so I can go over that stencil and pretty much see what I got here. That's pretty much it, right? If I go like that. So now I stencil both eyes on there. I'm going to grab a mouth while I'm at it. So I'm going to use this, maybe this mouth, or I'll use this one here. I'm going to right click and I move over here. Now you can get these, you just grab these off of Google. I'm just going to put a smiley face right here. I think that's in a pretty decent space. I should probably put it straight on. I'll move up here so the stencil is right over there. And I'm going to go ahead and use the brush, go over, and paint that on right there. I think I lost part of my eye. I think I accidentally messed with it a little bit. I'm not gonna get bent out of shape with this. It's totally. I could get cartoon hair. I'm gonna just use the hair that I downloaded earlier. So there's the basics of using the stencil to paint it. I'm gonna go back to the texture. If you look over here, if I click over here, I'm sorry, if I had more textures, they would all be available here. If I go back over here, I can actually open up, go to my downloads. I think I put it on my desktop. Yeah, hair. I have this hair right here. So if I go back over into here, I'm sorry, over here to these settings, and go down to this. I have that one texture, but if I go back over here and click, I can, it remembers the other textures that I had. There's a better way of organizing this, but I can at least go back and get the other one, other things that I had loaded in. Should have probably made a set of textures. But you see how big that hair is compared to the character? So I'm going to go over here into the settings over here, and I'm going to change the size over here. I'm going to multiply that times 4, which making that 4, that means I'm going to have 4. See, it's going to make this 4 images across and 4 images down, basically. That's what it means. It actually makes it appear smaller. So I'm going to look from the top here first. Kind of rotate it a little bit like that. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything, but something like that. I go in smaller, go in closer. When you're actually zooming in, it's going to stencil it on however it looks when it's overlaid. So you decide how detailed you want it. So I'm going to put mine like right there. I'm going to change the size of my brush by pressing F. Make my brush much bigger. I'm going to start painting the hair on. And just painting the hair on. I could, of course, just try to use my own artistic skills, make my own stencils, or I could just try to paint everything from hand without using stencils. But guess what? I'm not going to, because this is easier. It's a good, easy way to start, and I think people should start off with the easy way, because at least because there's enough complex things in using this software that I don't have to get bent out of shape at the very beginning, trying to do all the detailed stuff. So I'm just gonna, let me undo that. I went a little bit too far over the edge. Let me go F, make my pressing F, that gives me a little bit, so I can adjust my brush there a little bit. So I'm gonna go F a little bit smaller here for the brush, and go maybe right over here, give them a little curl or something that's a little bit distinct there in the front. I don't want everything to be the same in the front. I'm not gonna get too bad. I'm just gonna do it. So you get the idea, right? I'm not gonna go crazy on this. You want to do, when you're using a stencil, you want to kind of stay around the middle of the stencil. You don't want to kind of go around the edge of the stencil. That's something you'll hear a lot, and it makes sense, as you will notice. You'll end up getting stretching, and so I'm going to kind of give it a little irregularity along the bottom, make it look a little bit more organic, because it's whenever you have these crazy boxy kind of shapes, you need to do something to break up all these straight lines in the mind, at least, because otherwise it's really painful to look at. So I'll just do it like that, and just paint the remainder on, something like that. All right, I think I missed something here. That's okay. That side is definitely gonna probably get this barber in trouble. Oh yeah, it went way down on that side. On this side it didn't. So let's just go over here. Okay, so I think have some little bit better continuity, transitioning from the sides, one side to the other side. I think that's pretty good. All right, definitely not gonna win any art awards on this. So let's go ahead and give it I'm gonna use, I think I have a sweater picture. Just literally just downloaded these off Google. There's a sweater picture right there. Look at that. And I guess I can use that detail level. You can see it's like So you can mix colors in with this. This is a green sweater picture, so it's going to be just like this. But if I change the color up here, it would mix in with it. I'll just illustrate that. I'll use the. Let me make it a little bit more like yellowish for the base of it, so it'll mix them together. So as we kind of draw this on, you'll see how it's going to mix the yellow in a little bit, just to show you that you can use the straight up color. If you have white up here, it'll just be exactly like this, the picture, the stencil picture. But once you do the mixing, once you have a different color other than white up here, you have to keep that in mind, because it's going to get mixed in. You can change the ratio. You can change like how strongly it's mixed in and stuff. We're not going to really get into that too much. You should try to look straight on at edges too. That will also cause stretching, because it's projection mapping, right? So from at an angle, it's going to look a little awkward. So if I hold the right, I guess I could make this go faster if I press F and make this a little bit bigger. I'm sure there's other tools out here that will even make this way faster. I'm sure people have this done in seconds. But the fun of it is, advancing. Now obviously I'm going to have so much to improve upon that I have a lot more to look forward to and improving. And I am good with that. All right, so just basically, I can go down like even lower on this character than the sweater would go. Really, because I'm already down probably below where typically would say the sweater would be. That's fine, because we're going to overlap different things anyway. So I'm just going to kind of work my way around. We'll just go in at the end and retouch things up as necessary. All right. Yeah, so I'm dragging around like this. This is like middle mouse button. See how that's stretched right there? Because I had looked at it from an angle. See how that doesn't look good? So you want to look at it pretty much like straight on and try to get from the center of the texture. Then you don't have all that distortion, that stretching. That is really terrible to look at. Just getting this. And you can do a lot more. We're just going to use the base color. We could get into into normal maps and so forth. And I did do that yesterday when I was kind of practicing like some other physical based modeling techniques using like normal maps. But honestly, this is a good way to get started. There's enough right here, I'm sure, to keep you busy and improve on. I definitely have a lot here that I can improve on just without even getting into like normal maps or anything. Yeah, and if you can just leave some comments, I appreciate that, things that you suggest that I should do to make it better. I teach, high school, so a lot of people just like that I deal with are just getting introduced to this for the first time and probably have never even done anything significantly technical in the past. At least a lot of students haven't. So anything that takes a lot of steps, and involves using software and switching to other software and then even doing some coding. Like if they're doing a game, they'll actually go into a game engine and do stuff where they program and stuff. But see, I'm still getting all this stretching here. A lot of improvement. Probably should have got a different texture other than this sweater. Probably should have just got like a numbered jersey number thing, or that would have been so much easier than this. I just couldn't help myself and say, oh, I want to get a sweater texture. But the sweater texture honestly doesn't look that good at all unless you start using the normals, kind of like the normal maps that give it more of kind of like give the texture that really literally show like the little geometry, the bumpiness, the fuzziness of the sweater. Doesn't really start to pop until you have those normal maps set up. And it's not hard. It's just a few steps after this, and this is already going to take a couple hours. As this is already winding on. It's taking so long to do this because of the fact that I am very slow with it. But I am fine with that. All right. Using all of the, just basically painting. Think about what I'm doing. I'm basically painting parts of pictures that just got off of Google, and I'm just like painting them onto this character. How cool is that? I mean, that's cool stuff. I think it's cool. And then we can, get it into, so you can just basically take any of these images and use them and paint them on creatively onto your character. And then, use them into a game. Use our game engine. Use the CS1 game engine that I've created. And I'm rewriting it now. Actually, I have a lot of new ideas for the next version. But yeah, use my game engine. You can make some really cool games with it. You don't have to know anything about programming to get started with it. It's really easy to get started. And reach out to me. We have some forums that we communicate. We have a Slack. We have a Discord. We have a fairly active community, definitely a growing community. And great to have some new faces, new ideas to share and to create, because ultimately, creation is one of the greatest things to be involved in. All right. Just about done. See all these stretch areas. Now, at this point in time, I really see where I did all the stretchy thing where I should have avoided the stretch. All right, that's going to be okay. Oh my, I missed a lot over here. Kind of pull that down. Obviously, I lost my arm again. And pull that up. Oh yeah, we're missing quite a bit there. All right, let's go off to the side here. What's it look like? All right, got kind of sweater going on, missing some serious missing around right over in here. Okay. Finishing this off. I'm gonna leave some of this just looking junky, and I'm just gonna say, all right, that's gonna be fine. But it is peaceful. I mean, I could just honestly, this is some pretty peaceful stuff. Got a little character there. Probably be better to paint some detail around the wrist or something. But let's go ahead and just put some denim like on the, whoops. Missing a couple of spots right here. Get more stretches. When I get in those really like obtuse angles or whatever, where you're not looking straight at the plane, then you start getting those distortions. All right, but right now I'm gonna go switch to another texture. So I'm gonna go over here. I think I had a denim one. Denim, is there denim? There it is, denim. Denim is good. I'm gonna put a blue in the background of this denim, darker blue. And I'm going to go down here with the denim. And again, you want to realize when you're zooming in, however that image looks over the character, that's what you're going to get. So, just saying. So I already said before, I knew I was going to be a little bit off of the middle of the character or whatever. So I'm gonna be fine hitting. I'll use a different color for the shoes here in a little bit. Go around to the side here. Pretty much trying to get a feel for where that belt line would be on this thing. Eventually we'll pop a belt. I think I put a leather picture. Just Googled leather texture. I Googled denim texture. I Googled whatever. Sweater texture. And I just downloaded them literally. That's all I did. So. And there's other ways of doing this whole process, ultimately. Yeah, we'll put the belt on top of that. Obviously, I'm going to start in the rush a little bit more here than probably should. But then come in there, and there's that big geometry choice that I shouldn't have added there. But anyway, live and learn. Next time I won't add that geometry that way, and I'll know why, because it doesn't look good. All right. There's something about bringing these characters to life and get them into your own game. Like what I'm doing right now, since I zoomed in there, it's going to change the way the the texture gets mapped. Not really caring now too much, obviously, but if I was doing this for like some client, if I had a client, if I got to the point that I was good enough to get some design work for the 3D. Now I can program. I can definitely write computer programs, but not good at the modeling or texturing or whatever. All right, so I think that's about all I'll do right there. I think we got a little bit more. That's about it. Is that it? Whoops. I think that's it. All right. We'll slap a little belt on there. Little belt on the dude. So let's go back over here to the image. Let's go. I think I don't have it there. Let me open it. I think I have leather. Yeah. Whoops. No, that's for the belt buckle. If I'm going to use that shiny belt buckle, let me actually go to, where is it? Leather. Should have probably got a different, this is like a black leather. I could even make it bigger, but I guess I'll keep it like this. And just try to go right along here. You can use different brushes too as well. This is kind of, this brush kind of gets blurry around the edge, and a lot of people, it's good for a lot of situations. I'm obviously just using it, however. Just about screw with that. All right. So and then we'll slap a little belt buckle here. I'm going to go over here to the shiny, what does it say? Shiny gold. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to make it more detailed. I'm going to go to this section down here. I'm going to change this. Hold it, on this section over here, I'm going to change this to 6. I'm going to make it much, whoops. So by making this number bigger here onto the sides, it actually makes it so that like the texture is smaller. There's more copies of it, if you will. So I can get a little bit more of the belt detail in this section. I'm going to want like the highlight and move it over so it's kind of like that. Let me try to line it up a little bit better angle. You can also rotate the texture. There's like, you can hold like shift, and you can do this to zoom the texture too. which is like right mouse click and shift. That totally works. I don't know all the short keys, I mean the quick keys or whatever, but I'm going to go ahead and paint this on. We'll see what we get. The belt buckle. See what that looks like. Just try to get somewhat of a belt buckle. Go off to the side. It's just kind of like the hint of a shiny belt buckle. It's not too much. Not too much going on there, but yeah, a little bit kind of subdued. Subdued dude. And then if I just want to go to regular painting, I could turn it stenciling off if I want to. Or I can also just turn this color like to black, or I can turn, yeah, if I turn this color to black and I turn the strength of the brush down to 0, that's the same thing as just painting in black, right? So I could just do that as, I don't know, for painting the shoes. Whoops, but it's only going to paint. Oh yeah, it's not even going to do anything because I have the strength at 0. Yeah, that's not going to do anything. It's going to actually paint it on the shoes, but it's going to paint black on it. Yeah, I think I should have just turned stenciling off. But basically, this is doing what I want, kind of. So I should have probably turned stenciling off. I was going to get like something, a shoe-related stencil. But I just turned black for the color, so it's not really applying the, not really taking advantage of the texture for the stencil. I'm pretty much just being cheesy about it. And I'm just trying to put some kind of like boot type of thing on the character. Some hint of a boot. Getting there. A little bit more. All right. Oh, I got more. I didn't realize I missed that whole part of the denim. We'll go back and fix that, I guess. There we go. Again, you want to try to look straight on at it if possible. All right. Now I'm just going to get that denim once again. Guess I can turn this back color. What did I have it on? I had it on like a bluish color when I had the denim. Now I got to worry about color mixing. This is where I'm really breaking from my. So I got to go back here and pick denim, change that to the bluish. Hopefully, I got to go find where's that missing the color at? Oh, right there. That's pretty close. All right. But most of that, I think there's a little spot right here. I need it. All right. About it. I was gonna put maybe. I don't know. I could go stick with this all day and just try to improve it. Now the face. Obviously, I didn't put the base color is completely white on the texture. I guess I could have done that to begin with rather than doing like that gray off-white, because that stencil around the face looks really awkward. Yeah, the base color is that matte, and it started off with like grayish color. Now I can't undo that, unfortunately. There probably is a way to undo it, but here's how I'm gonna do it. See how the eyes and stuff, and then it's like gray around the white. So what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna go pick that eye stencil again. I'm gonna change the size back to. I'm gonna make the size really big now. Actually, I'm gonna go make the size like 0.5. making the number smaller again kind of makes the relative size of the texture to the character bigger. See, now it's much bigger. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give myself, I'm going to use the white that's on this texture to kind of paint in the rest of it. I know it's kind of cheating. So this whole section right here, let me just get the face down here. You'll see what I mean. I'm going to move the white part of the texture and just use it as being like white paint, basically. So I can hold shift and right click and really make that like a big area. Now I can just use it to basically, whoa, oh my, Command Z. Change this background color to white completely. Oh my gosh. Completely white. Come on, man. Wake up. There we go. That's okay. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just going to make this all white. It was all gray before. I'm going to try to zoom in, get this area that was previously. I wouldn't have to do any of this if I had only paid attention more and not realized I was going to use a stencil with eyes that had a white background to it. Probably could have got a stencil that had like a PNG stencil that had a transparent background. You know, probably would have been better. But live and learn. I'm definitely going to remember a lot of these things. Some of these things I'm probably going to forget again. Eventually, I'll have my system down. So I tell myself, let's go over here and clean that up a little bit. Just trying to make it so the whole face seems like it's all same color. All right. Just moving that down into there. Yeah, this is a lot of extra work. Let's go F and make a smaller brush. Work on in here. Alright. Now I can make the brush bigger again, which is like faster at making the brush bigger and smaller. Alright. Here we go. Getting close, getting close. Oh. Alright. Yeah. And that's, where am I missing? Where am I? Obviously the sides here are all the wrong color. A lot of extra work. I definitely should have thought ahead on this one. But this isn't too bad because I'm thinking, it's just, as I do this, honestly, as I do this, I'm like, wow. Now I'm thinking, what can I do? Because you always, once you experience the, the uncomfortable thing or the thing that takes longer, then you're like, wow, now I'm really motivated to make it a lot less intensive next time. So now I am. Now I know what they mean. Talk about the value of like stencils that would have like some transparency to them or something. not have that white background. Unless I had already made the base the right color, which I didn't. Oh, I realized I got some. Actually, even have some. Got some. Painted some of the hair area. If you can see right there, I painted some of the hair area with. Look at that. Even some of the face got the. Man, that was sloppy. Got paint everywhere. Virtual paint. I got some of the face got green, like he's wearing some of his sweater on his face. Oh wow, better days. Now I'm painting eyebrows. Wow, I'm really getting tired of starting to paint eyebrows onto the side of the face. Get this here. A lot of cool stuff here, no doubt. Yeah, sure a lot of people will fast forward. They say they got the point. I got the point of this. You know, I really see where you're going. You know, if you're not sticking around for this whole thing, it's understandable. I'm just trying to. Whoa, that was some messy painting with that. Wow, really? Here we go. Now painting some eye onto it there again. Being very cavalier about putting these colors in different places. Put that down here. Okay, that's not bad. I just gotta maybe fix that little bit of the hair. Probably a little bit more in the forehead. Yeah, I guess there is some right there. And some splotchy skin. Definitely can go to the spa. All right. Let's just fix that one part of the hair before I forget. Well, not right there. I guess I could have switched it right there too, could I? No, that's just for choosing the type of texture. I'm gonna go back over here. Oh, I'll go back over here. That was right. And change it right here back to the hair. Oh, now I gotta change that size to 6. Again, because it's not gonna be the right. Change this back to 6. I think I had it at 6. The hair. I'm sure there's a way to set these up so you always have them at the right presets or whatever. Just find where that green part of the hair is and fix it. Make it, there it is. Fix that hair, get that hair back in good order. All right, I think we're okay. Probably will notice something I totally messed up on later than that. Well, let's just go ahead and go File, Save As. I'm going to call it LP. Save that. And we'll just export the whole thing right now. See it in action. File, export. GLTF, LP to the desktop. And let's go see this and wrap this session up. See how much better it will look than this. See how much texture painting makes a difference. Here we go. And there it is. Let's give it a different background. Let's change the background over here. Let's make the background kind of more of a grayish color. All right. There's our character. Happy, bright faced character. Kind of a little bit of a nose. Let me zoom in here. A little bit of a nose. Oh, I definitely missed a little bit of the painting right there on the face. Because if I rotate it around here, we're not going to look at that part. If I go around like that, yeah, that's all right. Right? And it's all a process, right? It's like, hey, man, what the heck? That's okay. Let's see you run, buddy. Let's close the display here. Let's see you run. Let's go put your walk on. Ooh, running. I'm running for you, man. Keep running. Keep running, my friend. Little awkward geometry down around the hips right there. That would make for some better animation down the road. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with this character. Hope you learned a little bit of something here today. In the least that you can do this. If I can do this, you can definitely do it, and even better, I'm sure. Just go out there and do some creations, because creating is where it's at. Take care.